What's up, plant lovers? I'm Devin Wallien, and in this video I want to give a short video documenting exactly what I do for my desert rose throughout the year. I have a number of different videos all about Desert Rose Adenium, including how to propagate them and how to get a nice thick trunk, and you can check for links in the description below if you want those two videos. But this one is going to be a video basically just quickly documenting what I do as a desert rose grower here in Westchester, Pennsylvania, Zone 6B, a location that has cold winters where I must bring them indoors in the wintertime. All right, so I'm here in the middle of July right now, and not only is my variegated desert rose blooming, my other three are fully budded up and they should all be blooming pretty quickly. So how do I take care of my desert rose throughout the year? All right, so the first thing that you should note is that it's always best to start desert rose when the temperatures are warming up and you can actually keep your plants outside. It's a plant that needs to be outside during the warm season, warm weather season. I've tried growing them indoors all year round when I used to live in an apartment. They just don't do that well. They definitely struggle to bloom inside if you do that. So as long as the night temperatures are above around 42 degrees Fahrenheit, they are safe to be outside. Now, when we bring them outside in the summertime, when those nights start to get above 42, the best thing to do is to put them in a shaded location for about a week or so. That's just going to acclimate them to the outdoor weather without scalding any leaves that they might have on them at that time. Then after a week, you want to put them into a much sunnier location. For me here on this deck, it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they get full sun from around 9 a.m. until about 1:30 p.m., 2 o'clock. The rest of the afternoon is shaded. Now that sun period is quite hot and it does get really warm during the summer months. It's around 96 degrees right now. And they love that. They love that full hot sun. They love that really hot weather. And when they're in that season, I keep mine well watered. You can see they are moist to the touch. I let them stay moist or just barely dry out between waterings. So I'm gonna water these guys once every couple days, and they're absolutely going to love that and flourish. Now, as you can see, they are all in small pots, snug pots. That is definitely a must. They like to have a rather root-bound growing situation, and that's gonna keep their roots nice and healthy. Furthermore, having a really nice, well-draining potting mix is gonna be essential as well. So I'll buy a bagged houseplant potting mix, and I'll use like 3 parts of that with 1 part of perlite just to add a little bit of extra drainage, and that's gonna be great. Alternatively, you can buy a bagged succulent planting mix. Those are a little bit more expensive. That's why I tend to just kind of make my own, which is also very easy. Now, while they're outside in the summertime, absorbing all of that sun, getting all of that water, you can also fertilize them with some sort of all-purpose fertilizer. I'll leave a link in the description below to what I use. And I will fertilize mine about once every 3 to 4 weeks during this active growing season. So from I typically put them outside around May 1st. So by around May 15th, I'll give it their first application of fertilizer, and then maybe June 15th, July 15th, August 15th, and then I will stop at that point. Once we don't want to fertilize too late into the season because we don't want to be pushing growth as the nights start to get a little bit cooler. And then once those nights start to really dip back down to around 42, I will bring them back inside. But I will absolutely push the limits. These guys can handle rather chilly conditions at night. So that's like beginning of November that I start to bring them back inside, maybe middle of October here in Westchester. But I'm not afraid to let them stay a little bit outside a little bit longer. They're gonna love that, and that helps them to stay even more resilient. Now, as you can see, they are budding up and starting to bloom. I used to be under the impression that I would like to let them dry out while they're sort of in that budding up, blooming stage, but I found that it's better to just give them a consistent moisture, and that is perfect. Moving on from the summer growing season, when we're bringing them inside, around that beginning of November, middle of October. For me, I've tried so many different things inside. I have, you know, a sunroom where it gets a lot of sunlight. Lots of other plants do excellent. Even still, that's really not enough sunlight for them to continue to grow and hold on to their foliage. I've tried using grow lights. That really doesn't keep the foliage on either. I've really just accepted the fact that they will defoliate in the wintertime. Some of you guys out there, you've sent me photos of yours just thriving in the wintertime, even blooming in the wintertime. I have not been able to achieve that, and that's okay. They're a summer, you know, I treat them like a deciduous tree would be outside, where they're just really enjoying life in the summertime, and then they just have a dormancy period in the wintertime, and that's a-okay with me. Because even without foliage, they still look gorgeous with these really unique succulent trunks. Now, during that period of time, when they're inside, in that dormancy period, losing their foliage, I don't water it at all. From around November 1st till, you know, middle of April, when I bring them outside, I do not water them at all. Well, okay, I'll take that back. I might give them water one time, maybe around the middle of February, if they're looking like, if I can tell they're looking a little bit shriveled, if the Codex feels a little bit soft to the touch during that dormancy period, I will go ahead and give it maybe 6 to 8 ounces of water, and that normally helps it to firm back up. But otherwise, I let them stay totally dry, and they're going to be fine. Now, during that winter period, yes, we want to routinely touch that trunk, feel how it's doing. If it feels soft at all, maybe give it just a little bit of water, but don't overdo it. Let it really dry out after that. The Codex is normally the indicator as to whether or not they're happy. If it feels very soft and like mushy, there's a good chance it's dying, and that's typically due to overwatering, especially inside. It really can be difficult to overwater these outside when they're in that hot summer sunlight. So I really wouldn't worry about that during the summertime. And the other thing that we want to watch for inside the home is for spider mites. They do tend to get spider mites inside the home. When they don't have foliage on them, that is really diminished because there's no foliage for the spider mites to actually latch onto and suck all that nutrition out of the foliage. So it's kind of a good situation not having any foliage on our plants. But if you do get spider mites, using just some sort of horticultural soap spray is the trick to do with the spider mites on our desert rose. But otherwise, they stay pretty resilient. And that's pretty much my entire routine for growing these plants. They're quite easy. Outside in the summertime, lots of heat, lots of sun, lots of water, regular fertilizer. Inside, you can put it by a sunny window under a grow light, or you can leave it in a rather shaded, darker area. It's gonna be fine, because if we're not watering it, it's not gonna be growing, and it doesn't need that additional light. So with that in mind, now you know how to really successfully take care of your desert rose throughout the year in areas of the country that get winters, or areas of the world that get winter weather. If you live in an area where they can stay outside all year round, your situation is a little bit easier. Just keep doing what you're doing, watering it all year round, giving it lots of sun, and that will allow them to stay even happier. If you do still have any other questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, don't forget, subscribe to our channel. We're bringing new plant-related content every single week. Thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you soon. Ciao.